A meat processing company based in Mankato has agreed to pay $300,000 in penalties after an investigation found it employed children as young as 13 to work in hazardous conditions. According to the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry, Tony Downs Food Company employed at least 8 children ranging from ages 14 to 17 at its plant in Madelia. The young employees, one of whom, who was 13 years old when hired, operated meat grinders, ovens, and forklifts on overnight shifts and also worked in areas exposed to carbon monoxide and ammonia. That's according to the complaint. They also allegedly worked longer hours than permitted by law, and some were injured. Tony Downs, quote, disputes and does not admit the violations of the law alleged by the Labor Department, according to the agreement. The fine stems from an investigation by Labor Department officials in January of this year. The investigation found that Tony Downs was aware of the issue. It also learned that minors were working under assumed names and were not native English speakers, according to the complaint. Minnesota law prohibits employers from hiring minors to work in hazardous conditions. Employers are also prohibited from requiring employees under the age of 16 to work after 9 p.m., more than 8 hours a day, or more than 40 hours a week.